And Bob Chapman, Nightline has gotten so asinine that they ran a piece. Well, ABC Nightly News did. The same guy who was here for Nightline, the anchor of ABC Nightly News, was here. And this individual, Dan Harris, is so delusional that even when I'd show him clips of world leaders calling for a global government, he would say, well, that's not the global government you're talking about. And he also ran a piece on the Nightly News the last weekend where they imply that if you believe man-made global warming isn't real, you're a Nazi. So they really are overusing this race thing, which I think is great because it doesn't work anymore, Bob.
No, it doesn't. Not in America, that's for sure. I mean, there's racism all over the world. People in one section of France don't like the people in another section of France, and they all happen to be the same religion and the same color. But it just doesn't work. People have got savvy to it. And I think a good part of that is because of the successes of the civil rights movements since the late 1950s. And so you're right. They're playing the wrong cards.
But, I mean, you come out and you say, I don't want government-run health care, and then they call you a racist. I mean, Rand Paul's poll numbers have gone up in the week of demonization in all the major polls except for the fake George Soros one. And with the fake poll, I noticed it got picked up by The Hill and other newspapers to create the illusion, oh, see, he's a loser, trying to use that groupthink of others to go, well, I better not vote for him. He's a loser now. That's a mind game, and I think people are growing up past that.
Well, I think they are as well. And I think that when they interview you, and they don't interview me because they can't find me, when they do interview you, just tell them it's terrific. I mean, do what you want to do because all you're doing is killing yourself. But I'm happy. Do it because we want you to, because we want you to be unsuccessful. You're not going to stop us, no matter what you think. There's too many of us.
Well, I mean, the public's been lied to millions of times. We've caught the politicians lying. And I'm noticing all of these iconic individuals we interview, whether it's Ron Paul or Dr. Paul Craig Roberts or anybody, they're all a lot more hardcore now. I mean, Roberts comes right out with everything. It's on purpose. The whole government's criminal. It's world government. Yes, it's all true. 2 years ago, he wasn't going half that far. You take Ron Paul. He now gives speeches and says we've had a CIA coup. They're bringing the drugs in, when he gets up and gives a speech. So, I mean, people are just saying, you know what, I'm done playing games, you criminal government, you criminal corporations that have been built up around it. We're not going along with you anymore. It's over. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. You want to come kill me? Come try. Well, you know what? I mean, I go back to junior high when bullies were beating me up a lot. It was even before junior high. It was like when I was like 11, 12 years old. And suddenly I just learned it was better just to go absolutely ape and fight back, even if the kid was 3, 4 years older. And that you don't care anymore. Somebody starts a fight and you're like, great, let's go. I don't care how big you are. I'm going to stomp your guts in. And I think it's that fighting spirit we're getting back, Bob.
I think you're right. It's that burning candle, that light in the darkness that's illuminating everything.
We'll be back with Bob Chapman, one more segment, your phone calls, and I'm getting into a bunch of other news and the globalist eugenics operation. Now, they shot interviews with me about 3 months ago. They said it was coming up in April. That's when I believe they were going to launch their demonization campaign to the Patriot movement. You've seen it start. And they're now launching their nationwide movement against Rand Paul because they know that he's in position to easily win the presidency in 2012 if he wins the Senate. Rand Paul is, or his father, as Salon and others have pointed out. And so they know they can't beat him in Kentucky if people donate and support the campaign. They're afraid of a Tea Party-type candidate nationwide. And you hear Matthews, what does it mean? They want to take power. Like they're revolutionaries, and it cuts to guys with guns. Well, in America, the people do take power in the political process. We are the people. We are the government. but they're trying to act like it's just incredibly horrifying and, oh, so dangerous. And there's all these specials on HBO and PBS and MSNBC and CNN coming out with yours truly, as you saw me in the promo. I mean, how dare I say we're going into deep tyranny? How dare we say Obama's a liar? I've got a bunch of mainstream, even liberal articles today where they admit, okay, there are death panels. Okay, they are going to ration care. Well, they said they were. I mean, you know, the stinking insurance companies wrote the bill. Bob Chapman.
Boy, that really capsulizes it. Plus, is it 14 or 19, one or the other, increases in taxes. And I can assure you they are going to use euthanasia. First, you'll be offered the option. And then, if you don't accept it, care will be withheld. And that's a big thing because in the last year and a half of life, about 80% of a whole lifetime of medical bills comes due because you're ill. And they want to do away with that, so they do away with the subject. And that's a very, very important part of what I call a euthanasia bill.
And we know Northern European countries already do this. We know Tom Daschle, who wrote the bill, wrote a book admitting it. We've got the White House Chief of Staff's brother who's on the board saying you don't deserve health care.
That's right. There's a usefulness to people that ranges from perhaps 22 to 62. And after that, you're useless unless you keep on working. And people seem to think that it's a great idea being retired at 50 or 55 or 65. I can't think of anything more deplorable, but that's not the point. I mean, right now in Greece and in Spain, they're fighting over, I don't want to have to retire at 62 or 65. I like the old rules when I can get out at 50. I mean, what can they be thinking of? The idleness of the body and the brain, because they don't have enough funds to be able to live the way they want to, unless they want to get another job.
Well, that also plays into the bankers' plan to get the countries deep in debt when you've got all these people wanting to retire at 50. It's just incredible. Let's go to some phone calls. Don in Hawaii, you're on the air with Bob Chapman. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Bob. I got a two-part question about gold and inflation.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm wondering that just I'd just like to have somebody explain. To me, it seems like gold might be overvalued or not, or at least fairly valued when you consider that it's gone up 30 times since 1971 when it was about $40, and it's gone up about 4 to 4.5 to 5 times in the last 10 years since 2000. But prices of goods and services, and I mean, I can't think of any prices of anything that's gone up even nearly that much on either one of those, since 1971 or since the last 10 years.
Well, I'd like to comment on this. Hold on, Don. We're going to hold you if we need to, but I want to get his take. But look, we're talking about versus the currency. Since 1913, the dollar, according to most economists, has lost 97 cents. Others are now saying more like 98 cents of its value. We had no inflation up until about 1900 in 150-something years of this country. And then since then, we've had 97 or more % reduction in the dollar. So versus the currency, gold should be $2,400-$2,500. That's what all the mainline economists say. And so, yeah, you've seen gold run up quite a bit. And they've tried to keep a few staples down. But if you don't see automobiles, fuel, a cup of coffee when I was a kid was a nickel. Now it's $1.50. I think you're looking at cooked inflation numbers, and they cook those. Bob, give them your take.
Well, the figures you've given are correct, and it is around 2,400, and that's the inflation rate officially since 1980. Now, what is the unofficial rate, the real rate? Because in 1980 and then onward, they Mickey Mouse dollar figures. They keep on changing them. The levels of comparison change. You have things in there like the birth-death ratio, which I'm sure the gentleman probably doesn't know what it is. And all of these things that distort things. And so the real rate of inflation since 1980 should put gold somewhere between $7,100 and $7,500 an ounce. And I'm not the only one who's saying that.
Well, let's expand on that, though. They say we've got 9.8 unemployment, and every private firm out there says it's 22 to 23%. So, again, Don, qualify your question or flesh it out. I mean, what exactly are you asking here?
Well, okay, like you said, that's against the dollar, the currency. Well, prices of goods and services are priced in the currency, and I'm saying, don't even look at any inflation figures or anything. That doesn't even matter. I'm just saying that in those two time periods, the last 10 years, gold up 4 times. Since 1971, gold up 30 times.